They say justice is blind. But in the city of Harpersville, justice has 20/20th vision, and her name is Judge Amina Wright, former civil rights attorney who clawed her way to the bench. Wright doesn't just interpret the law, she weaponizes it. To the innocent, she's a guardian angel. To the corrupt, a reckoning in black silk. The police union wants her gone. The mayor's office wants her silenced, and behind the scenes, darker forces are taking notes. But when she publicly shames two racist officers, she ignites a war she never asked for. Because in Harpersville, the real crime isn't breaking the lid, exposing the people who pretend to follow it. Now, the story begins. On the other hand, something remarkable was going to take place today. For the purpose of seeing a case before the beginning of her own docket, she had come early. Two cops who were standing toward the rear of the room exchanged smirks with each other before she could take her seat. And leave a like and a comment. Let's get back to the story. Let us know where you were watching from and what time you found this video. One of them scoffed and said, "I'm willing to bet she has a record." They always do. Not out of a sense of remorse, but rather out of irritation, the cops tensed. "You have no right to look at us in such a manner." Both of the cops were cold. Look at this, as he was speaking under his breath. Another one thinking she owns the place. All of her life had been spent combating discrimination, including achieving success in law school, while being told that she did not belong. She was aware of the ways in which prejudice may distort the system, since she had campaigned for justice in areas that were lacking in resources. She proceeded to go right to the judge's bench, bypassing them in the process. She took a seat and put on her black robe with a deliberate calmness that was accompanied by silence. It is likely that you are here for a traffic offense. You are aware of how they behave. Murmurs from the gallery, the shuffling of papers, and the odd cough were all sounds that could be heard in the courtroom, which was buzzing with the normal hum of judicial procedures. Before we proceed, I'd like to address something. Dr. Amina Wright, a well-dressed member of the African-American community, entered the room with self-assurance, exuding an air of calm authority with her stance. Would it be possible for you to have them presented before the court? It was loud enough for her to hear him murmur. A brow was raised by her. On the other hand, let me to remind you that justice is blind, but it is not deaf. Furthermore, it does not accept any kind of discrimination, even from those who have taken an oath to protect the law. His companion laughed out loud. The hall rumbled. She thinks she's untouchable just because she's got a robe. You two idiots really mocked a judge. His temples were stroked by him. It's rather fortunate that she didn't lodge a complaint. Now, please stay quiet before you make the situation much more difficult. Some uppity judge trying to make us look stupid. The muscles in Amina's jaw clenched, but she remained silent, which gave the police the confidence to proceed. The courtroom hallways were packed with hushed conversations by the next morning. However, the defense maintained that Darius was targeted because of his activity. While the prosecution portrayed him as a violent person, the policemen were humiliated. A few attorneys grinned behind their case files, delighted by the situation. Others, particularly those who had experienced parallel prejudices, stood a bit straighter, experiencing a sense of being noticed for the very first time. With all due respect, Your Honor, I know what I saw. Mina made a little turn and established eye contact with them. The next time you assume someone's worth based on their skin, remember they might just be the one judging you. An announcement was made by the bailiff which said, "All rise for the honorable judge," right? The courtroom was in place. The benches were not approached by Amina in any way. "Would you be willing to explain?" There was no longer any color on the cops' faces. "Good morning, everyone," Judge Wright replied, maintaining a confident but acerbic tone in her voice. Her attention was drawn to the two males, who were now moving in an uneasy manner. "Officers," she added, "I believe that before I walked in, you were thinking about me in some way." There was no sound. No. He took a deep breath and swallowed. She spoke up and added, "Take this as a heads up." After saying so, she moved on to the cases that were scheduled for the day, allowing the cops to exert themselves under the burden of their own stupidity. From that day on, the word that circulated around the courtroom was that Judge Wright should never be underestimated. An account of the conflict that took place in the courtroom between Judge Amina Wright and the two cops quickly circulated like wildfire. On the other hand, the cops who were involved, Derek Hall and Marcus Ridley, were not only ashamed, but also outraged. The two individuals, Hall and Ridley, rushed into their precinct while smashing their lockers and yelling profanities. You believe that? Ridley's hands were tightly clenched. A grizzled veteran by the name of Lou Tanner, who served as their sergeant, overheard them. Despite this, they did not let up. What they did instead was begin digging. Following a weak judge, Wright presided over a case that received a lot of attention. A young black activist named Darius Cole was accused of assaulting an officer while he was participating in a demonstration. During the course of the trial, Wright became aware of something peculiar. The officer who had made the arrest was Officer Hall. What about his testimony? Overflowing with contradictions. As a result of Wright's pressure, Hall's face became somewhat crimson. She leaned in closer to me. Are you sure? Because your report seems to indicate one thing, while the film from the body cam seems to indicate something another. Tension grew in the courtroom. Hall's jaw jerked slightly. Must have been a malfunction. Wright's eyes became more narrow.
It's funny.
At this moment, the defense has presented 3 distinct perspectives on the arrest, all of which were from onlookers. There was complete silence in the hall. The next day, Wright revealed a shocking revelation. This court has reason to believe Officer Hall's testimony was not just flawed, it was fabricated. The room was filled with gasps. She proceeded by saying, "Further, I've reviewed prior cases involving this officer. I'm referring them for investigation." Hall drew his gun. "This is bullsh. I am down." The voice of Wright was pure ice, "or I'll hold you in contempt. Sit down." The judge wasn't simply exposing a single falsehood. Rather, she was revealing a pattern of deception. With a month coming to a close, the lawsuit brought by Darius was dropped. In the meanwhile, Hall and Ridley have been placed on administrative leave. The district attorney's office revived 5 previous arrests linked to them. There were headlines published by news outlets. Judge takes down corrupt cops. Was it personal? Nevertheless, Wright seemed unconcerned by the loudness. At a news conference, she made the following statement. "The pursuit of vengeance is not justice. There is a focus on the truth. What is the reality? It is constantly able to emerge." Later on, Judge Wright was appointed to the position of federal judge. Is it Ridley and Hall? While a worried representative of the police union pushed a manila envelope over the table. Mayor Richard Kensing was sitting inside in a private booth and sipping a $300 bottle of bourbon. Now she is looking over prior instances that are connected to our people. If she were to resign from the police service in a state of embarrassment. As a result of lying on oath, the other individual was locked up. Every new officer in the city was given the same warning, which was as follows. Never underestimate Judge Wright. The integrity of her impartiality was called into doubt by anonymous court insiders in the story. She was more than simply a judge, that's why. JIN, which stands for Judicial Integrity Now, is a brand new watchdog organization, the financial history of JIN. Look for it. Judge Wright, he thought to himself, has forgotten one thing. This city belongs to people who play the long game. It was she who embodied justice. It had been 3 months after Judge Amina Wright had revealed the identities of officers. Hall and Ridley, when a sleek Blacktown vehicle was parked in front of an intimate restaurant. The sales representative said, "She's digging deeper." The gold cufflink that the mayor wore shone brightly as he raised his hand. So the snake finally shows his fangs. He put the envelope in his pocket. It was time to start the game. If there is even the slightest indication of prejudice, we have to look into it.
Ow.
This assault came from a direction that was not anticipated. Judge Wright's bias did her past influence her rulings, was the headline that appeared on the front page. It was stated in a report that had been leaked that Wright, who had previously worked as a civil rights attorney, had dropped cases that included minority defendants at an alarming rate. Where did it come from? Ethan Wright's clerk rushed into her office without warning, requesting that an ethical review be conducted. The job is a huge success. Wright hardly even dared to look up. Never let yourself get anxious. The whole night was spent digging by Ethan. The documentation provided by JIN included a shell business that was connected to a lobbying firm and sponsored by Identify the Weak Link in the Chain. Oh my God, Mayor Kensing's most generous benefactor. Wright wore a grin. However, the mayor was not finished. Kensing pretended to be concerned at a news conference, saying, "Although I have a lot of respect for Judge Wright, justice must be blind." Behind the scenes, his associates worked to have her removed from high-profile cases to protect her reputation. The last blow was delivered then. Federal officials went to Wright's residence after receiving a strange tip. Taking a box of paperwork with them, they went. Wright was aware of the regulations. 1. And I will not allow those who are guilty to conceal themselves behind it. 2. In the process of subpoenaing Jin's bank documents, she struck gold. A payment of $50,000 from the mayor's slush fund, which was pretended to be a consulting fee. But what is the true jackpot? A conversation that was taped between Kensing and the director of Jin, then bury her. Doesn't matter to me how asterisk. At the hearing on ethics, Wright did not provide a defense for herself. She launched an assault. Exhibit A. The mayor's bribery scheme. The recording was played by her. The room was filled with gasps. At the same time as Kensing's face was losing its color, reporters hurried to submit their reports. In the next month, due to the presence of criminal charges, Mayor Kensing resigned. The Jin was disbanded after an inquiry into fraud. You Judge Wright? Accepted for appointment to the state Supreme Court, the question was posed by a senator at her confirmation hearing. Why do you continue to fight when they came for you? After Wright's response, the room became silent. Since the bench is more than simply a seat, it also serves as a shield,